the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
It's Tom Albright with AVNation with an AVNation special, taking a look at outdoor displays with my buddy, Mr. Todd Mares from Peerless-AV. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tim. How are you?
I am well. We have not been in a real physical space in a minute, but good to see you. You guys have been doing displays in general for a number of years. Peerless-AV has, but you've also done outdoor displays. First, before we get to the Neptune Series, when we start talking about the outdoor displays, give me a kind of a sense of when and where these types of outdoor displays really should be used.
So when we're talking about outdoor displays, outdoor TVs, it's really any time a TV won't be protected or display won't be protected as it would be in an interior environment. It really calls for a purpose-built outdoor TV at that point. The number one reason for this, I would say, would be safety. Moisture of any kind is going to compromise any type of sensitive electronics, and above all else, it creates a shock hazard. So to properly avoid any potential harm, get a TV that's meant for the use case that you're using it for.
One of the things that the displays do is when you guys when they're put together, they weatherize them, right? What exactly does weatherizing mean to an outdoor display?
So when we talk about weatherization, we're really mainly focusing on how to keep moisture away from the sensitive electronics, as previously mentioned. So from sealing areas with a bead of RTV, such as where the screen and the frame meet up, we're able to control what needs to be protected and what can survive in an outdoor environment. We also use some gasketing material in these areas as well. So, there's areas where you're going to plug in your cables to get your sources hooked up and whatnot in the I/O compartment. A lot of times users will, think that that's not necessarily a very important part of it. But what we do is we gasket the entire input cover itself, and we direct the users basically where to run their cables properly so you can get a full seal. When the two gaskets meet each other, that pretty much seals off any open area that would be in the TV itself. And, again, within these I/O compartments, that's where we're going to see, our HDMI connections, all these digital connections nowadays. And when you're talking about HDMI with the 18, 19 pins that it's got, any little bit of corrosion is going to kill that connection. So those are really the main focus points, is sealing up the display as best we can from a manufacturing standpoint with the RTV, as I mentioned, and from a user standpoint or installation standpoint with the proper gasketing and cabling routes.
Yeah, most users don't realize how many different connectors are inside an HDMI. They just see the HDMI. It's like, oh, it's one connector. No, there's actually 18, 19, individual wires in there.
Yeah, and they all are important. So.
Absolutely. You mentioned before whether it's the different types of elements that these outdoor displays can come up against. What sort of elements can the Neptune series withstand?
From an IP standpoint, which is an ingress protection, we have on the Neptune an IP54. When we talk about an IP rating, the 5 and the 4 both mean two different things, right? Okay. So the first digit that we talk about relates to solid particle ingress. So bugs, dust, that type of thing. So it can go up to a 6 in that first column. We have it as a 5, right? So we're basically impenetrable to anything that's going to crawl around or blow around the TV. The second digit refers to liquid ingress. So on a 54, it basically means that it's rainproof. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to stay away from any type of power washing or water jets that would be hitting the TV, mainly because it could compromise the LCD itself or the LCM itself. But from a water standpoint, it's completely rainproof. It can be rained on. We do sell dust covers, and you can buy extra, third-party dust covers if you choose. But it can live outside all year round. That's not a problem. There are operating ranges for it. So a negative 22 to 122 degrees. Don't know how many people are using it at negative 22, but there may be some bars and beer gardens, say up in Canada or something like that I do know they use them like that. So when you get to the colder weathers, you might get some lag when turning the TV on firstly, but after it warms up a bit, it's going to perform just like you would normally see. And on the upper end of that, keeping in mind that the Neptune series is basically a partial sun series. So we don't want to place it in direct sunlight, but we are confident that if you get occasional sun throughout the day, it's not going to compromise it. And at the 500 nit brightness rating that it's at, we find that in partial sun and shaded environments that it works just fine. And we've got a handful of reviews that actually complement that statement as well.
Todd, one of the things, one of the aspects of the Neptune series is the connectivity, right? And here we're talking about the smart connectivity. How does the Neptune series work as a smart home hub?
Peerless-AV was extremely lucky to kind of formulate this relationship with LG Electronics. And what we've been able to do is license LG's WebOS to be able to use inside of our TVs. So that's kind of the main brain box, call it, that kind of drives the smarts within the Neptune itself. And, being able to pick among the big three, LG being the one we went with, we find that it's a very supported and recognized feature set that we bring to the market, and that because people have been using them in interior TVs, indoor TVs, that it lends itself to just a nice complement when you add something like this into the outdoor environment. Everybody's already aware of how to use it, essentially.
Well, you make a good point there. Is these are built around outdoor entertainment centers, right? Outdoor entertainment systems, and when somebody comes out, you don't want to necessarily have you having to learn something new. The fact that they're used to this system and they're used to this interface, I think, is incredibly important. Absolutely.
And the nice thing about WebOS too is that it can act as a smart hub. So there actually is a part of the dashboard called Smart Hub in it. And, there's a certain number, or a number, I should say, of devices that LG has kind of partnered with that their WebOS will recognize from a SmartThings standpoint. So if you've got lights, thermostats, maybe some smart speakers or something to that effect in your house, on the TV itself, you can actually see the status of those smart things that are in your home. So, as an example, if you're outside and you're ready to start movie night up or something, and you hit the dashboard and you notice that there's lights on in the house, but nobody's in the house, it'll give you a prompt to save a little energy and go turn off the lights on the inside, So the dashboard helps in a number of different ways. But that's also something that WebOS brings to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things about some of these outdoor displays, and Neptune series certainly is kind of the support after these are installed. How much maintenance does the Neptune series require?
I mean, generally, there's really no maintenance required on these displays. From an aesthetic standpoint, I would say the one main thing is that if you're not using a dust cover and, maybe you're watering your lawn, or maybe it gets rained on, and probably more so about the watering the lawn part is where you're going to get hard water. And just as hard water is going to leave deposits on windows on your house or something, if they're not wiped off, it's going to do the same thing to the display as well. From a robustness and kind of that standpoint, whether it's a salted air environment or a standard, just hard water environment, you have the potential to get water deposits on the TV. So if you're not wiping off the TV after it's rained or after you've watered the lawn, then maybe what you'd like to do is invest in a dust cover. And that way, when it's not in use, put the dust cover on it. You don't have to worry about any maintenance. But generally speaking, they really are maintenance free. There's no air exchange from the internally on the TV to the external surface. So you're not worried about any types of gathering of debris or something like that. Depending where it's mounted, you might get some leaves on it. So, you wipe off the leaves or something like that. But from a usability standpoint, there's really nothing to maintain on the TV.
And really, for clarification, because I do have a TV like this, not a Neptune series, but another brand, and it requires a special cloth to clean off the screen. Is there a special cloth and a special solution that we have to use to get some of those, watermarks off?
Great question. Really what we're dealing with is the same type of surface that an indoor TV has. Okay. So if you're going to use a microfiber cloth on the indoor, you're going to use it on the outdoor as well. I'd stay away from any type of, you don't want to use paper towels on it. You will create fine abrasions. And although your picture is going to shine through and it probably won't affect anything, you might be able to see those abrasions when the TV is off. So to keep it looking aesthetically nice, you'd probably want to wipe it, and then by doing that with a microfiber. Now, the external of the TV itself, if for some reason the screen looks fine, you could wipe it down with any type of rag you want. That's not a problem. But if you're wiping on the screen, you want to stick with a microfiber for sure.
Okay. Very quickly, what are some of the features, of the Neptune series? It comes out of the box. Like, what are some things that people may not realize that this series comes basically just plug and play?
The first thing that they're going to notice that comes with the display itself is an outdoor mount. So the outdoor mount is it's a convenience rather for the user, in that they don't have to look for anything else. It's outdoor rated specifically. I've gone to enough installs where I've had to replace a standard mount with an outdoor mount because they just rust after a while. So you don't want to compromise how this is being held up. The second part of that is where exactly we're going to put this mount. Being a partial sun series, what we've tried to really hit home with some of our videos we've put online is that although partial sunlight isn't going to damage the device, we really want to keep it in an environment that promotes shade. The brightness is sufficient in partially lit areas, sunlit areas, but it really isn't bright to combat a full sun installation location. The sunlight isn't going to damage the display, and as long as you're just seeing sunlight occasionally throughout the display, the picture won't be disturbed as well. The next thing that's really kind of cool that we include with the TV is the magic remote that comes from LG. Now, there's two remotes that come with it. We have an outdoor rated remote, does all the same functionality that the magic remote does. But what the magic remote does bring to the table is wireless and non-line of sight control. So a lot of times in these outdoor environments, that bright sunlight is going to kill that IR signal. You're going to have to get right up on the TV. Yep. You're going to be missing codes. People get frustrated with it. They think there's a problem with the TV or the remote itself. The magic remote, as long as it's all, on the Wi-Fi, and since we're talking about a smart TV, most likely everything's going to be connected anyway. As long as the TV is on the same network that the magic remote links up to, then you have no issue with controlling the TV, not having to worry about line of sight as well, at all, rather. And you can kind of move around in your environment. You don't have to worry about missing commands or something. As long as you're connected, you've got a strong Wi-Fi signal, that remote is going to be great for you. The one thing to mention is that it is not outdoor rated. That's why we add in the outdoor rated remote as well. So, people are going to pick and choose which ones they're more familiar with. The nice thing is the magic remote does also support voice control as well. So as that becomes more ubiquitous, it's kind of nice to have that included with an outdoor TV.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd Mares from Peerless-AV. Thank you, sir. How do people connect with you with Peerless-AV and find out more about the Neptune series?
Absolutely. We go to www.peerless-av.com. Look for our outdoor displays and TVs, and you can click on the link there. We also have neptunetv.com specifically for this line of TV, Outback Air TVs, and they can find installation videos, tips and tricks on installation and usability of the display, all on both of the websites.
All right, very good. Todd Mares from Peerless-AV. Thank you, sir. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. Find more specials and more like this. All that and more at avnation.tv. Is avnation.tv.